What impact does the signing of Mahomes yesterday, in your mind, have on Dak over the next 8 days?
Well, the good news for Dak is it puts more money in his pocket. A year ago, Greeny, they could have signed Dak Prescott to $31 million. That is out the window. That is ancient history as it relates to contract negotiations. Russell Wilson's at $35 million. Patrick Mahomes is at $45 million. He has to slot in around $37, $38 million. So yesterday was a huge win for Dak as it relates to money. However, as it relates to length, as Adam Schefter just alluded to, Greeny, Dallas wants a longer-term deal. Now that you have a 12-year deal on the board for the Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas could say, hey, we want to go at least 5 years, maybe 6. So it's a little bit of a win for both sides. But as it relates to the dollars, again, this is a big win for Dak Prescott. And Dallas has nobody to blame but themselves for waiting so long to get this deal done.
Where do you see the leverage, Tim? You've been around this game literally all of your life. Your father played in the NFL. You know the way this stuff works. Where do you see the leverage in this situation with a week and a day remaining?
Well, I think Adam's right in saying the numbers really aren't going to change. And Mike's talking about 37, 38 a year. He was going to be around that number prior to the Patrick Mahomes deal, and it's going to be the same after. But I think this distinction about the years is what really matters. It's Greeny. It's why your reaction to the 10-year extension was a little bit surprising, as was mine. Think about what these quarterbacks typically have wanted. Dak wants 4 years, not 5. Word is that Deshaun wants a 3-year deal. You look back to what Kirk Cousins did after playing year after year on the franchise tag. He did a 3-year, $84 million deal, fully guaranteed. Why? Because he wanted another shot at it. And so I think that in some ways, this really kind of swings the leverage back to the Dallas Cowboys, where they can be like, look, we have set a quarterback, as Mike said, just put a 12-year deal basically on the table. So us asking you to take a 5-year deal instead of a 4-year deal, you should be amenable to that. So look, I think that the money for Dak is going to be the same, but I think this leads to maybe him being more agreeable to a 5-year contract.
And Desmond, here's the way I'm looking at it. No one in sports has more leverage than the NBA superstars. And the NBA superstars have gone the opposite direction from this. They're all signing these shorter-term deals so that, A, as the money continues to go up in the sport, they continue to go up with it, and B, they maintain a lot of power and leverage within the organizations they sign with. LeBron started doing this, and a lot of the players have done it. So I read Patrick Mahomes going the other direction the same way Orlovsky does, that he's basically saying, I'm chasing a dynasty here. I'm putting myself in this situation so they have cost certainty and all of that. I think he really is making sort of a legacy play to try and go after being the greatest player of all time. That's the way I see it. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I do, because he's the greatest player in the game today, and obviously he wants to, I guess, reach that same level as a Tom Brady. Tom Brady has set the bar very high, and now he's the GOAT that everyone's chasing. And for Patrick Mahomes, I spoke to his agent, Lee Steinberg, and Lee said this is the marriage made in heaven. It's perfect for both sides, for Patrick Mahomes and for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like Adam Schefter alluded to earlier, the contract is so friendly that it leaves cap room. Even though it's a big number, potentially $500+ million, there's still cap room for them to build talent around him in the future. So it's a win-win situation for the organization and for Patrick Mahomes. He understands that he got the value that he believes he's worth, and now he understands that now there's flexibility in the contract where they can and make sure there's room in the cap to bring in other talented players so they can go and make a run as a dynasty.
There's a lot of sort of mixed opinion on whether or not Dak Prescott really is in that category as a player. Where do you stand just on Dak in general as he has 8 days left for the situation to get resolved?
If I'm in the front office for the Cowboys, I respect Dak's talents. He's a really good quarterback. I don't think he's in the stratosphere as Mahomes or Russell Wilson. I do think that he's a guy who you can rely on him to get you to the playoffs, not to a Super Bowl. He hasn't shown that yet. So if I'm Dallas, I'm looking at Dak Prescott, and my comment is you can take your 2 best years as a Cowboy, and they don't add up even close to what Patrick Mahomes has done in his first 2 years as a starter. So the comparison is like apples to grenades, in my opinion. I think Dak is a great quarterback, but he's not in the same stratosphere as Patrick Mahomes. So I would not use Mahomes' contract as leverage if I'm part of Dak Prescott's agents.
So, Tim, we all understand that sometimes things don't work that way. What is your perspective? If Dak were to call you up, which I think is unlikely, but were he to call you and say, Tim, how do you think I should play this over the next 8 days? What would you tell him?
Well, listen, he doesn't need to call me. It's pretty clear, and Mike laid it out, fairly well. When you look at the Carson Wentz and Jared Goff deals, it's pretty easy. They're 4-year deals, around $130 million, and there's roughly $110 million guaranteed. It's a little bit more than $110 million guaranteed for Jared Goff. So if you are Dak Prescott, like you're not even entertaining anything that's less than that. Mike alluded to it. You have basically, for doing nothing, 2 years, $70 million. So in order to give up, another opportunity towards free agency, like what are you going to do? What are you going to give him for that? So Dak Prescott's deal, the parameters of it should be pretty simple. Like he wants a 4-year deal.
Right.
It's going to be 4 years, over $130 million. It's going to be, over $110 million guaranteed. And if you want to tack on that 5th year to it, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, then you better give him something in return. So I actually don't think this is really all that difficult.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.